I'm often asked, what would I do if I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes tomorrow? Well, the truth is, I would get determined because we're fortunate. We now live in an era where type 2 diabetes can be put into remission and we hold all the power. So, first thing I would do is to get enthusiastic to learn and to get determined because we all know somebody with diabetes. You've seen what can happen when it progresses, probably heard the stories, you've maybe watched people you love struggle with their health. And there's a moment where we all think, I really don't want this to be me. But of course, that could also be the beginning of overwhelm. You might go online and find you get shouted at from every direction. Cut carbs, don't cut carbs, go vegan, go keto, fast, don't fast, count calories, don't count calories. And you sat there thinking, where do I even start? What if I do it wrong? What if I make it worse? So let me tell you the good news. And I want you to really take this in. The changes you make with lifestyle can be more powerful than any medication that I prescribe as a doctor. Medication helps bring that glucose level down, absolutely. Often it's needed, sometimes it's even life-saving. But medication, it doesn't treat the root cause of type 2 diabetes. Medication can't outwork a diet that keeps spiking your blood glucose all day long. Lifestyle changes don't just manage diabetes. Done properly, they can change the trajectory of your health for good. My name is Dr. Neris Frater. I'm an NHS GP, and for the last decade, I've been supporting people to reverse their pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes so they can avoid the complications of the condition, prevent a decline in blood glucose, and I help support people to come off medication. So if this was me, diagnosed tomorrow, here's exactly what I would do. First, I wouldn't start with even thinking of focusing on weight loss. I wouldn't start with guilt and I wouldn't start with trying to be perfect, but I would start with a mission. And my mission would be this: to help my pancreas. Because with type 2 diabetes, what you've essentially got is an organ that is burning out. Your pancreas is working overtime. Day after day, meal after meal, snack after snack, is constantly being asked to rescue high blood glucose by pumping out insulin. And if you keep giving it the same job at the same pace, day in, day out, it doesn't get better. It gets more exhausted. So I would treat this like a mission to rest an overworked pancreas. Just like you would if a colleague of yours was burning out in work. You know that the only way to cure burnout is to take the pressure off and rest. And I would absolutely do this using food as medicine. Not in a fluffy way, in a practical, this is how your body works way. So let me give you a quick masterclass, because once you understand this, the plan becomes a bit more obvious. So your blood glucose goes up and down all day long. Every time it rises, your pancreas has to respond. It has to produce insulin to bring it back down again. So if you want to help your pancreas, you want one thing. You want that blood glucose line to be as flat as possible. Not perfect, not completely flat like a straight line, but flatter. Less highs, less low. Because flatter means less rescue work for your pancreas. Flatter means less insulin demand, and flatter means your body can start to recover. Now, here's the first problem. I see people eating too often. If you remember back to what your grandmother used to say, no snacking between meals, wait until dinner time. Well, I'm going to listen to Grandma, but I'm going to construct my day in such a way that I don't actually feel hungry in between meals either. We live in a world where many people believe they should snack between meals to keep their blood glucose steady. I see people having 3 meals, plus snacks, plus healthy drinks, plus little bites, plus just a bit of chocolate and a smoothie, because it looks innocent, but it actually behaves like sugar. And what that means is that the pancreas never gets a break. It's like calling the fire brigade 10 times a day and wondering why the station is exhausted. So the first thing I would do is this. I would cut snacking. And I know that sounds small, but it isn't. It is massive, because snacking helps the blood sugar roller coaster from running. It keeps insulin high. It keeps hunger and cravings alive. Now here's the problem. The moment you try to cut snacking, your brain will say, well, what am I supposed to do when I'm hungry? What about 3 p.m? What about the evenings? What about when I'm stressed? So here's a solution. And this is where people often go wrong. I would not cut snacking and then try to survive on willpower. I would cut snacking by eating meals that actually keep me full. For me personally, I focus on the meals because I have no interest in starving myself. I have no interest in feeling hungry, and I'm not interested in making this hard for myself either. So I would build my day around proper meals. I'd make sure they're satisfying, and I'd make one more decision that would help my pancreas rest, which is this rule that I have of no food after 7 pm. That would be my last meal of the day. Not because eating after 7 pm is bad in some moral way, but because I'm looking at this through one lens. How many hours can I give my pancreas a break for? If I finish eating at 7 pm and I don't eat again until breakfast, that's 12 to 13 hours where my pancreas isn't dealing with glucose coming in. It becomes a rest window. Now, do keep in mind that if you are already taking medication that risk hypos, things like injecting insulin or tablets for diabetes, then you must speak to your own doctor, as I would not want you to risk blood glucose going too low overnight. But for everybody else with type 2 diabetes, getting the blood glucose lower is exactly what we want. So the next place to work on is breakfast, because most breakfasts in the UK are basically glucose in fancy packaging. Cereal, porridge, toast, granola, fruit juices, even the healthy versions. And if my mission is to rest my pancreas, I'm not going to start the day by making it work hard. I want it to have a lie-in. So the next thing I would do is make breakfast zero glucose. And I want you to hear this. Zero glucose does not mean zero food. It means I'm choosing foods that don't raise the blood glucose. No cereal, no porridge, no toast. Eggs, meat, cheese, like they do abroad, or full-fat Greek yogurt with a small handful of berries and some seeds. These breakfasts are often filling, they're satisfying, and because they're high in protein, they should keep you fuller for longer, so you do not end up thinking about food all morning. Not because you're resisting and being strong, not because you're using willpower, it's because you're not hungry. And then we start creating something really powerful. If my last meal was at 7 pm, my breakfast is zero glucose, then my pancreas has had a proper rest. It's not been dragged into a rescue mission first thing in the morning. And now it's lunchtime. And this is where I see people make another mistake. They have a good breakfast and then they have a sad lunch. A salad that looks virtuous but leaves them hungry. And the snacking might start again. So lunch would be simple. I'd build it around protein again. I'd have enough. And yes, I would add fat, because my goal is not to eat as little as possible. My goal is to eat in a way that stops me needing to snack. So lunch might be a chicken or tuna or leftovers from the night before, plenty of veg, olive oil, maybe some cheese, maybe some nuts, depending on what works for my body. And then I do the same for the next meal. Protein, veg, enough fat to stay satisfied. Simple, repeatable, boring in the best way. Day in and day out. Because I know the magic isn't in the novelty. The magic is in consistency. One thing I would never do is to go to the supermarket and start buying low sugar products, keto products, low carb bars, diabetes friendly snacks. Because in my experience, this is a trap. These foods are ultra processed often. They're full of chemicals, sweeteners, ingredients that do not help your health. And they keep you psychologically hooked on sweet taste and snack patterns. So I would not be hunting for the low-carb foods. I would be buying real food, protein, veg, full-fat foods that keep me satisfied. And I'd keep it simple. So simple that I don't need a spreadsheet to eat lunch. And if you're still wondering, what about cravings though? Because let's be honest, this is where a plan often wobbles. You can do breakfast, you can do lunch, but then 8 pm or onwards, you're tired, you've had a busy day, your brain starts bargaining with you. And this is where I want to be really honest. Cravings are not a character flaw. Cravings are a predictable response to blood glucose swings, stress, habits, and reward pathways. But there's no doubt food is the biggest lever. And once I would have the food foundations in place, I would immediately start looking at other drivers that put stress on the pancreas and push cravings back up. Lack of movement, sleep patterns, stress. Because if you're sleeping badly, your blood glucose will be higher and your cravings will be louder. If you're stressed, your body behaves like it's under threat, and it will push you towards quick energy. If you're not moving much, your muscles aren't helping to soak up that glucose. So I'd keep the food simple, and then I start stacking the other basics. A walk after meals when I can, proper wind down at night. And I take stress seriously, not as a luxury, but as a part of my treatment. Because here's the truth. Type 2 diabetes is not just about what you eat. It's about the whole environment your body is trying to survive in. So if I pull this together, because I don't want you leaving this video with 100 ideas, if I was diagnosed tomorrow with type 2 diabetes, my approach would be, number one, focus on the pancreas, help the pancreas. Number 2, flatten the blood glucose line. Number 3, cut snacking by eating proper meals. 4, no food after 7 p.m. 5, zero glucose breakfast. And then I'd do protein at every meal, avoiding any ultra-processed foods. But here's the most important part. I would not try to do this perfectly. I would get help, I would get support, and I would try to do it consistently. Because the people I've seen have the best results aren't the people who do a perfect week. They're the people who can repeat a good enough plan day in, day out. Now, if you want me to take you by the hand and teach you this properly, not just one tip at a time, go and watch my 3-part health breakthrough video series. It's designed for exactly this moment when you've been diagnosed, you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't know what to do first, and it'll help you learn the foundations. You'll understand what's driving your blood glucose, and you can start making changes that genuinely do give you control back. It is completely free, so click below for the link. And if you found this video helpful and you want more practical, no-nonsense support like this, subscribe to the channel. I do post regularly and I'll help you cut through the noise and focus on what actually works. Thank you.